Because as soon as she saw his face, she was like, "Oh, I recognised it instantly."
Yeah.
It's like, well, this cunt looks like Borat. It's not fucking hard to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Really there was a bit that I picked up in there as well by a woman, Mo, and she was like, she had been attacked and actually had saw she recognised his face when they, when they showed his face, and she didn't want to go forward with the evidence because she didn't want people to think that she looked like a prostitute or was a prostitute.
Yeah.
And it's like, which is understandable. It's a bit of a weird one because obviously if you've seen his face, why wouldn't you would kind of just go, do you know what, I don't care if people think that that's what I am. I'm going to go forward. Because as soon as she saw his face, she was like, "Oh, I recognised it instantly."
Yeah.
It's like, well, this cunt looks like Borat. It's not fucking hard to...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Do you know
what I mean? He's got a weird fucking goatee going on.
Yeah, he's very distinct.
Yeah, very distinct.
Yeah.
So, like... Yeah, I suppose it's bad that they were saying that there was all... If the whole prostitute thing wasn't there, she probably would have come forward with her evidence and been like... So it's kind of... I don't know who to... On that one, I don't know if it was you, would you come forward and make it look like you're, because it's bad on herself, isn't it? It's her image.
Yeah. It's different, but would they have listened to her? Because a few people had come forward before, but because they weren't prostitutes, they were like, well, it's not related then.
That's the thing. They almost built this... They built the Ripper and dismissed anything else around it. And so it was really hard to fit a person into it.
Yeah.
Until that's why it took so long, and I think, but I don't remember the ending. But obviously, if you're watching this, it's a fluke that they kind of got him in the end, because it's like they built a narrative so small to it was like he had to have a certain accent, he was in a certain place, he only went with prostitutes, and it's like they built this image of this person that wasn't real.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and that's what's fucking crazy is like. The whole police force around it were just so stubborn. Like to not take on board anything that anyone else had to offer. I mean, one of the craziest bits from that documentary is that cop when after Sutcliffe was arrested, he saw his name and he was like, I recognise that name for some reason. Goes through his notes. Turns out that he went and interviewed him. This guy that he interviewed, there's a few, pieces of evidence that seemed to lead him to be the Ripper, but the fact that his face was a spitting image of the photo fit that was created, and he goes to his higher up and explains this to him and says about the photo fit and how it's a spitting image, and the fact that the chief of police, who I'm not being funny, or head of the investigation, whatever you want to call him, is obviously under a lot of pressure to catch this guy. First of all, asked if he's got a Geordie accent, which after they realised with that Geordie accent guy that everything that he had said was stuff that you could get from the papers, they should have disregarded or not as kept him in such a high, place on the, that this is the Ripper, because any dickhead could, in theory, ring up and say that. I know, obviously, there was also, didn't they spend £1 million on a campaign?
And back then, $1 million.
Of course. And sending out recording of this guy's voice, like, do you recognise this voice, blah, blah, blah. So they obviously invested heavily.
Did you see the bit on the nights out, and they were just like going into nightclubs and just
we're playing it in the club,
stopping all the music, and then playing that.
That's just being off your nut, and it's like, what is going on? Like,
be careful, he's about.
Then there's Geordie guy on the fucking beat. beats. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, how does you as a DJ, how'd you come back in after that?
This is it.
Why'd you drop?
Smack my bitch.
The mood would have just been.
I'm joking.
The next song is a very careful choice.
Yeah.
I'd probably say play something a little bit upbeat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. The Rude Sandstorm before its time.
Pharrell happy.
Yeah. Fucking. Yeah, no, the way they went about it was fucked. But what was I getting at? Okay.
Sorry, mate. I just came in.
Just derailed them with the DJ.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, they were so. Yeah, that's it. The cop taking the evidence to his higher up because they were so fixated on this fucking Geordie accent, which again, I reiterate, anyone could have rang up with that information. So as soon as they realised that all the information he had said was in the papers, should have been disregarded. But the fact that this guy was literally a match on a photo fit, which apparently isn't as good as having a Geordie fucking accent, and he kicks off and says, if I have to hear about this fucking photo fit one more fucking time, blah blah blah. And it's just like, what the fuck, man?
It's not just one of them. Like, it actually looked fucking just like him. Yeah. It's not like again. He had a very fucking distinctive look, didn't he? He weren't,
I think
it's fucking
part of
nuts.
the problem is because they didn't have computers, did they? They had all this filing system. So they had all. Did you see the amount of paperwork?
My goodness,
they had to reinforce the floor with all these pillars. So I think like the gaffer, they've got what do they call it? A type of person. He's got and he's gone right. There's all this information. I can't deal with it all. It's just too much.
Yeah.
Like there's fucking paperwork everywhere. Little bits of notes. Like I just want this guy.
Yeah.
And they're like, but what about this guy? And they're like, no, it's just I can't handle. There's too much paperwork. Whereas if you had a little computer, little database, you could have typed in and I think you just need a computer. Because their filing system was they had like a little train of notes going around. And they said they never would go back to the notes because there's too many notes. So it's like over a million notes or something.
It's crazy.
Fucking
so it's just filed there.
So it's like you write a bit of information. Think of all the hot evidence that got lost, all the times that...
Well, I mean, they interviewed Sutcliffe like 9 times.
Yeah. So
that's insane.
I mean, what they should have done was, instead of putting that campaign out about finding that guy, they should have put a campaign out like, look, we're going to fucking scrap the evidence, we're going to start a new one and fucking only phone in if it's like very good evidence. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of it was like they were writing down everything, weren't they? Like people ringing up.
No matter what you find,
like they're like, look, because then everyone had their moment to send in all their shit, and it's like they should have like just
They should have like phoned Bill Gates and be like, look, what are you doing on this database front? Like, give me something.
Can you fast forward it?
Because we just got too much better, and it'd have been alright. It'd have been quicker.
Yeah.
That was Microsoft shaping up.
But such is life. The computer was not available.
No.
They weren't even rocking typewriters, were they? They were doing everything by hand. Even the stuff that was available to them, they fucked off.
Yeah.
But it's like,
atrocious.
At the end of the day, the investigation was a fucking shit show.
proper
from start to finish. They fluked fucking catching the guy, but.
They didn't have a lot to work with, either. They're like, did they even have DNA then? I think they could match blood. Was about it.
Yeah. But the other thing, I mean, they had the boots treads at the scene, one of which had evidence on the right boot of slight wearing on the sole.
Yeah.
And this police officer who found a guy with a photo fit face as a spitting image also saw that his boots, which are the same size as the boots at the crime scene, had slight wearing on the right boot, which is the same wearing that's on the tread at the crime scene. It's like, what more do you want? You just want this guy to be from fucking Newcastle.
But you've got all this
overwhelming... Oh, because it's slightly off. You've got all this overwhelming evidence. But just because you're so fixated on this one piece, they were just like, nah.
And that voice to me didn't sound like a killer. The voice ringing in.
Oh, yeah.
What?
The guy phoning in. That to me, just wasn't scary enough to be.
Yeah.
It didn't really. It sounded like he didn't really know what the fuck he was really doing.
It was like,
but to be fair, to like flip it on his head, if that was never sent in, do you think it would have been any different?
Yeah. It's weird with it because it's like they said, So he said they had all the information that he revealed, but there was one piece that he didn't give away. There was like a month lapse between a woman on a tip or something. And he went and had a paper there, and he could have released this bit of information, but he didn't. And they're like, well, why didn't he say that? And that, because he knew that at the time. So if he would have said about it, they would have known he's like legit. But everything he said apart from that was all in the papers.
Yeah.
And he didn't say that bit of information. So again, that's a massive fucking clue.